So today, Thursday, March 20th, Donald Trump followed through with another campaign promise. He talked about this during the entire election process. He has talked about it since being sworn in as the President of the United States of America, the 47th one to be exact. And he has said numerous times that he would like to disband or abolish, however word, I don't know exactly what word he used here, but he wanted to get rid of the Department of Education in the sense that he wants to give that ability back to the states. Instead of it being a federal thing, he wants each state individually to have a say-so in how their Department of Education is run. Now, what is interesting here, and this was on the White House, I want you to hear what Donald Trump had to say in regards to the dismantling of the Department of Education. Take a listen.
Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. Should I do this?
Now, I think it's great that he had his own desk up there and he had all the other kids up there with him while he signed the executive order to eliminate the Department of Education. What's great, though, this is what he has to say. Closing the Department of Education would provide children and their families the opportunity to escape a system that is failing them. That is according to President Trump. Now, I happen to have a daughter who is in the public school system. She is in 9th grade. We are here in Florida. Previous to all this, she was in the public system in Georgia, the public school system. And I can tell you there is a night and day difference between the Georgia public school system and the Florida public school system. But I also can tell you there's a night and day difference between today's school system and when I was in school. I am 43 years old. I graduated high school in the year 2000. Up until I graduated high school, I would say that schools were better at teaching children things that mattered, as opposed to now, it seems, not here in Florida, thankfully, but in a lot of other states, more pushing propaganda on students. And so I can understand completely why Trump wants to give this back to the states, because the last 4 years, the Department of Education has turned everything into kind of, I don't know what words I want to use here, but when your child is bringing home math work or any kind of work, honestly, we're going to go with math, where they're having to figure out how to add these things or do these things. Now they're Common Core math, which is just absolutely ridiculous. There was nothing wrong with the way we did math up until the last couple of years, right? But I think that started with Obama, Common Core math. But they bring home these assignments where they have the pronouns. You have to go by pronouns. You have to go by what they identify as. It's all about race and all these different things, and the two dads and the two moms, and the dad who used to be a mom and the mom who used to be a dad, and all these different things. This is not something that should be in our school system. Now, the downside to this going into the states is that there are going to be some states, like I would say possibly Minnesota, because of Governor Tim Walz there, who are going to continue to push the propaganda style of teaching and the lack of common sense teaching. Kids today aren't being taught the same things that I was taught, and I wasn't taught the same things that a lot of y'all were taught. We did not have home economics when I was in school, and the kids today definitely don't have it. We didn't have woodworking or metal shop or any of those kind of things when I was in school, and a lot of them do not have that kind of stuff now. Now, some states may be different. There may be some states that are, because of what they do or where they are, some schools are more hands-on in certain classes, depending on what their state is known for, whether it's agriculture or marine or whatever. I know here in Florida, a lot of the schools, the high schools here, they have marine lifestyle classes. So like fishing classes and just marine classes, stuff like that. And I'm sure that in other places you might have classes on agriculture, classes on animal husbandry, stuff like that, right? But with Donald Trump giving this back to the states, I do think that it's going to be better for the kids, because now, not only that, I feel like the parents are going to have more of a say so when these school boards are having these meetings, or when you're voting who goes into the school board. They're going to have a say on exactly what's going to happen in the school system, as opposed to it being a federal thing and everybody teaches the same thing, everybody learns the same thing, and it all being propaganda filled. What's interesting, and I do want to point this out because the left has been crapping all over that this was going to happen. They've been so worried about, Donald Trump coming through and basically dismantling the Department of Education, because they're saying it's going to ruin everything. He doesn't care about your child's future. He doesn't care about their education. And I feel personally that's 100% incorrect. It's because he cares about your child's future, because he cares about their education, that he is doing what he's doing. Just like the people who had a massive issue with the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned and the abortion rights went from being federal back to the states. I would like to remind everybody that it was overturned in 2022 during the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris administration. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. People said, well, he had 3 Supreme Court justices. That might be true, but it took 9 to vote. If only 3 of them were Donald Trump appointees when he was the 45th president, 2016 to 2020, 3 is not enough out of 9 people to overturn anything. So other justices that were on the panel, the bench, the whatever the right word here is, they also decided that. So during the Democratic Biden-Harris administration is when the abortion issue was overturned and given back to the states. That is great. If you want to have something done and you live in a state that doesn't allow it, you go to another state and get it done. If it had been a federal thing and it was completely gone away, nobody would have the option, right? And that thing would make more women and men upset. This is the exact same thing. You have the ability for people to decide where they want to be. Let's say that you're in Minnesota right now, and I like sticking with it because I like poking at Tim Walz here. And Tim Walz decides that he wants to make the classes there all about why boys need tampons, because he does have tampons in boys' bathrooms. And he wants to make it all about tampons in boys' bathrooms and why they need them. And you, as a sane parent, know that this is a stupid thing to do. And so you go, you know what? Being here is not going to work for us. Let's go to Florida, where they teach civics, where you learn about the Constitution, where you can go and learn how to be a fishing boat captain, where you can learn how to deal with marine life and aquatics and stuff like that. Let's go there instead, because now you have the ability to go to whatever state, and in that state, whatever city or county is going to be the best for your child when it comes to their education. So Donald Trump doing this to me is absolutely amazing. And like I said, I want to point out that he has announced that the Department of Education's useful functions, such as Pell Grants, Title I funding, and resources for children with disabilities, will be fully preserved and moved to other agencies and departments. These things will still exist. So when you have the left screaming about how everything's going to be taken away from the schools and everything's going to go to crap and it's going to be awful and basically, London is burning kind of stuff, that is not the case. The things that are extremely important to a lot of people will still be intact, but again, it will go by the state. The states will have the ability to decide what their curriculum is going to be. The states will have more say in what's going to happen with the kids, and I personally think it's great. I may be the only one in this crowd who believes that, but I do think that it is better to have, it feels like less of a government interference when it is state to state versus a federal everything. The blanket statement of it all, when it's a federal decision, feels oppressive. Maybe that's the wrong word, but it feels very hindering in certain aspects. When you have the ability to pick up and go to a different state if necessary, or a different city or a different county or whatever else, because everybody's going to be doing something different, I think that's great. It's also going to show, my personal opinion here, what states really truly care about the education of their students and the ability to think for themselves versus just turn out worker bees, because that's what school has turned into. It has gone from making children into adults who could fend for themselves, who understood the way the world worked, who understood how to be independent and self-sufficient and rely on themselves and know how to find things, to now it's just they're worker ants. They're trying to just crank out worker ants who are basically only know how to say yes and no, don't know how to think for themselves, can't find anything, don't know how to do anything for themselves, and have to rely on other people to take care of them. And that's not what I want for my child. And I'm sure that's not what you want for your child or grandchild or niece or nephew or whoever else. And so having these states have the ability to manufacture is not the right word, but to design, I don't know if that's the right word either, design a course of study for each grade or each whatever. You're gonna see at the end of a student's or a child's public school education system or education whatever, you're going to see if their school system helped them or if it failed them based off of what they can accomplish by themselves at 18 years old, 19 and 20. Right now, you have so many people in their early 20s who are just clueless and have no idea how to do anything for themselves. When back in the day, you could be 12 years old and living on yourself. I mean, like back in the day, 12-year-old and living on yourself and running a household and doing the yard work and growing your own food and, you know, slaughtering your own animals and taking care of the family. And now you have people who are almost 30 who can't figure out how to do their taxes, who can't figure out how to set up a bank account, who have no idea how to sew anything if they lose a button on a shirt, who don't know how to grow a vegetable or what they would do for food or fresh water, because we're not taught these things anymore. And if you give it back to the states, maybe we will be. Maybe these states will finally be able to produce, I still don't know if I love that word, but really well-rounded Americans. That's what I hope that we get out of this, out of Donald Trump, you know, basically dismantling the Department of Education. I'm curious how you guys feel about it. Like, what do you think? Yay or nay? Are you here for it? Are you against it? And why? The why is important to me. Is it just because Donald Trump did it, why you're yay or nay? Or is it because of what it could mean for the child, for the student, or whatever else? So leave comments below if you don't mind. I love you all, Squirrel Tribe. Thank you for letting me have this conversation with you, and I'll see you guys again later. Bye.